Great. Okay. So I guess before we get started, let's hear some words from our judges panel. President Kim, do you want to start with a brief message for our students?
Oh, geez. All the time I've been here, I had something to say, but today is a student's turn to speak, so I wasn't prepared to say anything. It's the first time you let me speak. But anyway, I am so happy to see everyone here. Sylvia, so nice to see you.
Hi.
Sylvia is a new mother.
Yes.
Yes, and she's also an English teacher at a high school, so she's such a fitting person to be part of the panel today. And so nice to see you. Your boy is beautiful.
It's been so long. It's so nice to see you.
As soon as the pandemic is over, I'm coming over to your house.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, nice to see you. And yeah, so for a lot of you, it may be the first time you're speaking publicly. Don't be scared. I was one scared speaker the first time I stood. But you know, I don't get scared standing in front of thousands of people anymore because you just practice. It takes practice, okay? It's going to be a nervous moment today, but you're going to get better next time you do it, and then you're going to get better and better, and you'll be such an eloquent speaker. Hannah, how are you? Hannah certainly was a member of a Waffle in the past, and I'm sure you can attest to that experience of public speaking. So welcome everyone. Please enjoy your speech tonight. And yeah, good luck to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President Kim. So Philip, do you have anything you'd like to say to our students?
Hi guys, it's good to see you all. Thanks for participating in this event. First of all, congratulations by joining this speech competition this Saturday night. Kudos to you guys. I just want to say that you should learn from others. Whatever you do, try to pick up some key things that you can learn from others while listening. So that's it, and good luck to you all. Okay.
Thanks, Philip. How about from you, Sylvia?
Hi, everybody. So as a former program director at KAYF, I must say it's so amazing to see so many participants this year in the speech contest. So I'm really excited. And I have glanced at your topics, and I can't wait to hear about the various topics that I have seen. I am currently a teacher at Francis Lewis, and I have taught public speaking for a few years. So I've seen firsthand at the process that students go through and how they feel and all of that. So I think I know how you guys feel right now. I just want to say, please just enjoy the experience. Don't be so nervous. Just, think of it as an experience. And I think that'll help tonight.
Thank you, Sylvia. I think our board member, Erwin Park, is here. Erwin, are you in the room?
Hello, yes, I can see all of you guys. Can you hear me? See me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to tonight. First off, I'd like to commend everybody for putting in the work and the time. I know it's not easy. Public speaking and speech writing are definitely not two of my fortes, but I'm looking forward to some great speeches tonight. And I'm sure that that's what we'll get.
Thanks, Erwin. How about from Colin? Do you think you could give us a few words for our students today?
Well, thank you for inviting me to be part of this. I think it's amazing because I had to do a lot of public speaking when I used to work for New York State Assembly member Ron Kim. There were many moments I had to be on stage and talk for him when he was not available, or when I had to meet a lot of people. Definitely, it's very scary to have to speak to a lot of people whom you don't even know. But I'm pretty sure this would be an awesome experience for all of you, because the earlier you start talking to more people, and even to the people you don't know, you'll be able to overcome any fears, your fears of anything. It's not just about public speaking, but this experience will be a great thing that will help you even in your future and any other parts in your life. So good luck to everybody.
Thank you, Khan. Like I said before, we have a couple Waffle alumni that are part of our judges panel today. So starting with Hannah, could you talk a little bit about your Waffle experience and also maybe about your public speaking experience as well?
Wow, yeah, thanks first of all for inviting me back here today. It's so nice to be back with the KAYF community and the Waffle community. I think public speaking is just a lifelong skill, so it's really great that KAYF is introducing you guys to it, or if you guys are already introduced to it, sharing it with the rest of the group. Yeah, in terms of KAYF and Waffle, it's just a great community to have for a lifetime. No matter where you go across the country for college or beyond, you guys always stay in touch and you know that you have a solid foundation to begin with. So I'm grateful for that and excited to hear your speeches today.
Thank you, Hannah. What about from you, Sabrina?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to meet you all, to see so many people are now part of this Waffle KAYF family. Yeah, I mean, I also participated in the public speaking contest like over half a decade ago, which is crazy now. And yeah, it was just such a good experience. I think getting in that practice really helped me, not only for life in general, but also specifically my time in college, where I was doing a lot of presentations and actually like being graded on it. So yeah, just getting in as much practice as you can now is just really, really great. And I'm really glad to be here and to share that opportunity with you guys. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Sabrina. And last but not least, we're joined by Eugene, and I think he graduated fairly recently from the Waffle program. Hi, Eugene.
Hi. Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing that I was in your shoes last year, giving a speech, literally graduated a couple of months ago. So it is pretty cool, and I'm honored to be here to judge today. So thank you for that opportunity. Thank you, everyone here, and have fun.
Great. I think that's everybody on our judges panel. Once again, thanks so much for being here. So before we get started, I just want to cover some of the rules for today's speech competition. I did send this in my previous email today, but I'm just going to reiterate for posterity's sake. So first, each student's presentation and speech will be 3 to 5 minutes long. You will be timed, and we ask that you stay within the time limit. I'm going to have, I'm not quite sure how this will work or if you'll be able to see me when you're presenting your speeches, but I do have these little sheets that are going to let you know how much time has passed for your presentation. So I'll let you know when you have 4 minutes or 1 minute left in the maximum time, 30 seconds, and then when your time is up. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully this works. Next, the next rule is, so everybody has the opportunity to present a topic of your choice. If you have not submitted a proposal prior to today's meeting, you're still going to be expected to present, so I hope you're all prepared. Thirdly, I ask that you keep your cameras on when you're presenting your speeches so that you're being as engaging as possible with your audience. I know we're not face-to-face today, but we have to do what we can through Zoom. So I ask that your face be visible in your camera, so it's not just your eyes and your forehead. And when you are not presenting, please keep your microphones muted. Next, I would appreciate it if you could turn your Zoom display settings from gallery view to speaker view, and that way you can see exactly who is presenting and give them your full attention. And finally, we are going to be awarding the top 5 speeches plus a popular award, as in maybe a memorable and entertaining presentation today. And you're going to be given monetary prizes. So the first place winner will get $1,000. The second place will get $500. Third place will get $300. Fourth place will get $150. Fifth place will get $100. And the popular award winner will get a $100 gift card. And we're not going to be announcing the winners today. We're going to be joined by the same panel of judges 2 weeks from now, and that will be when we announce the winners of the speech competition. You're going to be assessed on the choice of your topic for its originality and uniqueness, your effective introduction, an effective body or main portion of the speech, having an effective conclusion, your connection with the audience as an eye contact, your preparedness, and finally on your delivery. So your pronunciation, articulation, volume, and speed. Any questions before we get started today? If you could use the raise hand function, that'll be really helpful if you do. All right, I'm gonna take that as we have no questions. So without further ado, if you could hit that speaker view mode on your Zoom, we're gonna get started with our first presentation today with June Kwon. Is June here?
Can you guys hear me playing well?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, okay.
All right, great. I'm gonna start the timer. Okay. So whenever you're ready, you can get started, and I'll hit start.
All right. So my name is June Kwon, and for those of you who don't know me, for today's opening speech, I took on the topic of mind versus heart, the war we fight within ourselves every day, and the subtle equilibrium in between. We, as humans, are social creatures who require cooperation and interactions amongst ourselves to thrive within a community. With that comes a series of billions of individuals acting on their own intuition. We, as humans, are responsible for our own actions, how we interact with others, how we communicate with each other, how we handle ourselves around others. With this responsibility, however, comes a moral dilemma. Which lets us guide our actions, our heart or our minds? Let me just make one thing clear before I begin. This is not a binary choice. There's no right or wrong answer, but it's a more or less appropriate approach in every situation, much like a spectrum. This is not a matter of picking one or the other, but rather combining a harmony of the two, deciding which gets to dominate in the situation. Decisions made from your mind are categorized as decisions that follow a conscious state of mind, supported by logic and reasoning. For example, when you're taking a math test and you're solving a problem, you learn and you know how to solve it. It's not a feeling you know at heart. On the other hand, your heart makes subconscious decisions, following intuition or emotions, such as following your gut feeling that everyone talks about. Even being in this meeting alone for the students demonstrates this trait. Because your mind tells you that you need to be accountable for your decisions, commitments, or not getting in trouble by your parents, or are you here because your heart tells you that being here today and every other Saturday will truly help you in your future? As I mentioned earlier, a harmony of the two spectrums is optimal for decision, but what defines optimal? Excess logical thinking eliminates the personality and individuality that comes with you, but an absence of this logical thinking creates an emotion-driven, reckless version of yourself. There's no formula to calculate how to achieve harmony between the two for the situation, and it really depends on the situation and the kind of person you are. Although a formula would save us a lifetime of trial and error and experimentation, this balance between the two only comes with life experience. When I was younger, I recklessly chased after my heart's every desire. I would sneak a cookie my mom would tell me not to eat at 9 o'clock. I would pick fights with other students over the smallest inconveniences, and amongst other issues. And now, after my fair share of trial and error, I know from the nights without my phone and multiple letters from my teachers and starved dinners that in order to stay out of trouble, I need to think and listen to my brain. This is one of the bigger lessons that I learned, especially growing up through middle school. Even though none of these actions really resulted in life-changing decisions, to the young, uncultured mind of the middle school June, it really set the standard for how I should approach the bigger life-changing decisions in the future. For me, I learned that my impulsive heart would more often than not make bad decisions, but my mind was there to provide a balance for its reckless nature. My point is that in order to make responsible decisions, you have to consider both what your mind and what your heart are telling you. Every decision you make relies on this core principle. This principle of balance and unity between the two helps you become a better, more authentic version of yourself. If you feel you've already mastered this self-discipline, I'm very jealous of you. So when you leave this Zoom call tonight, I want you to think about your actions from here on out, not just on a plane scale, but on top of a scale, a spectrum with your mind on one side and your heart on the other. Take time to understand and consider how the scale tends to tip with the slightest decision. And take time to understand where your personal balance lies. I can't tell you how long this will take. For me, it took around 8-9 years, and I still haven't mastered it. It may take you a few days or many years. It just depends on you. But what I can tell you for sure after this speech is that your future self will be proud of you, and it will take time to truly understand yourself. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, June. Thanks for being the first person to go today. I know it feel like a lot to be put on the spot like this, but yeah, thank you so much for your hard work. Let's get started with our next presentation from Rachel Hong. Is Rachel here?
Hello.
Hi, Rachel. So whenever you're ready, I'll hit the timer and I'll give you my little cues with my cards here. Got it?
Okay. Wait, is there a timer for 1 minute or 2 minutes?
So the time limit is 5 minutes.
Sorry, a time card?
So it'll be like if you've gone for 4 minutes, I'll have this one. And then if you have 30 seconds left, it'll be 4:30, and then I'll let you know if your time is up with this one.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
In order to survive, millions of diabetic Americans need a medication called insulin. Insulin is a hormone that produces energy and regulates the body's blood sugar levels. Diabetics cannot produce enough of this hormone, and as Quinn Nystrom, a type 1 diabetic, once said, insulin is like oxygen for diabetics. Without it, they cannot stay alive. I'm sure we all know of or have heard of at least one person with diabetes. In fact, according to the National Diabetes Statistics Report of 2020, an estimated 34.2 million people have diabetes in the United States. However, even with the numerous diabetics who need insulin, the price of insulin itself has increased more than 700% over the last 2 decades, making diabetes the most expensive chronic illness in America. In 2020, the U.S. reported an average price of $111.39 per standard unit of insulin, while it was only $8.19 in non-U.S. countries. That's more than 10 times cheaper than in America. That's why a coworker of my mom drives to Canada with a group of other diabetics once every 2 months to stockpile on insulin. She and her son are both diabetic, and she told me that she always feels like she is robbing the store in Canada compared to the prices of insulin in America. Many middle-class diabetics like her earn too much to be covered by government health insurance, but earn too little to buy insulin or their own insurance without sacrificing necessary things such as food or bills. The ever-rising cost of insulin causes diabetics to risk their lives and ration their supply of insulin, a dangerous method in which diabetics skip the required dose or take less than they need in an effort to save money. Rationing insulin will only put diabetics in greater danger and at higher risk of developing malicious complications, such as nerve damages, kidney failures, or diabetic retinopathy, which is the leading cause of blindness in the United States. Surgeries and treatments for these complications would most likely be paid out of pocket, a luxury many cannot afford. A close neighbor of mine, who was a type 1 diabetic, had aged out of his insurance 2 years back. He had to buy a cheaper over-the-counter insulin because without insurance coverage, his regular insulin was $1,200 a month at that time. Unfortunately, the cheaper insulin had not acted fast enough to control his blood sugar levels, and he fell into a diabetic coma with his blood sugar level 17 times higher than normal. He passed away a couple hours later at the age of 27. I believe that all diabetics have a right to cheaper access to insulin. The high cost of insulin in America is the main prohibitive factor in maintaining good health for all diabetics who can live normal lifestyles despite their condition. It is inhumane for pharmaceutical companies to create insulin to support the lives of diabetics, only to put them in peril of developing completely avoidable complications for profits, especially because it is inexpensive to create insulin and is much cheaper in other countries. Lives can be saved only if the price of insulin is lowered and can be accessed by everybody, not just those who can afford it. Thank you.
Great job, Rachel. Thank you so much for that very well-informed speech. Also, I guess before we get started with the next presentations, I encourage everybody to, I don't know, leave little feedback and encouragement for your fellow students. You can also use the reactions function on Zoom as well, and it'll show a little emoji on the corner of your screen. We want to keep everybody engaged and, show our presenters that you're listening and engaging with what they're bringing to the table today. So thanks again, Rachel. Let's get started with our next presentation. Up next, we have Edward Park. Edward, are you here?
Hi.
Good to see you. So whenever you're ready, I'll get started with the timer.
Great. All right. My time will begin on my first word. Hello, my name is Edward Park, and today I will be discussing the very controversial bill proposed in 2019, Medicare for All. The gist of this resolution is to basically give free access to healthcare to everyone in the US. Sounds pretty good, right? It's not. It seems great, but undoubtedly it will bring detrimental harms to not only the doctors that have to deal with all the patients, but also the patients themselves. I discussed this topic with my friends, family, debate team, and I always strongly negated this bill. And today I will be providing some of my strongest points to support my side of this resolution. And so I strongly negate the resolve. The United States federal government should enact the Medicare for All Act of 2019. My first contention is that the quality of care given to patients will drastically deplete instantaneously after this bill is passed. Subpoint A, doctors won't be able to pay off their debt after entering the profession. Doctors' pay will be drastically cut so that they won't be able to recover from their debt after entering the profession. Along their way of becoming a doctor. Charlotte Hayes reports, under the current legislative drafts of Medicare for All, government rates over the first decade will be 40% lower than those paid by private insurers. Charlotte Hayes continues that medical school is expensive. The median graduate takes on $200,000 in debt. It's time-consuming as well. The typical doctor spends 4 years in medical school, followed by 3 to 7 years in residency and fellowship. The sudden pay cut for doctors will leave many of them in debt, which obstructs their ability to support themselves and their family. Not only will the doctors be unable to properly support themselves, but the prospect of lower pay and stressful work would also discourage young people from entering the profession. Petrus Harris, the president of American Medical Association, states, "We certainly had a workforce challenge pre-pandemic, but exacerbated by the COVID-19 disease. Passing this resolution will only exacerbate the doctor shortage at an even quicker rate in the U.S. Joyce Frieden reports the Association of American Medical Colleges publishes in its 2019 report, they projected a shortfall of 40,000 to 122,000 physicians over the next decade. Medicare for All will worsen the doctor shortage instead of helping it. This will lead to even less access to patients in rural areas and overcrowded doctors in urban areas. Without doctors, patients will be left untreated, leading to death. The impact on the shortage of doctors is also an increase in medical errors made by overworked doctors. Because of the increase of patients Medicare for All will cause, Medicare for All will cost, a limited number of doctors will be overloaded with patients that need treatment. When doctors are overworked, they tend to burn out, making them vulnerable to medical errors and mistakes. Sarana Buridaron furthers that a survey sent to doctors across the U.S. with nearly 6,700 respondents revealed that burned out doctors were twice as likely to make errors in medical judgment, errors in diagnosing illness, and technical mistakes during procedures. These medical errors can be responsible for 100,000 to 200,000 deaths each year in the country. The probability of these accidental deaths to skyrocket due to Medicare for All simply cannot be ignored. Judge, hundreds of thousands of American human lives are already being killed because of medical errors. We cannot propose resolutions that will worsen the death rate. We're preventing any further increase in doctor shortage to not overwork them. We're preventing such overworked doctors to make more medical errors that can severely harm or kill a patient. Millions of lives will be saved simply by keeping the status quo. Subpoint B is that implementing Medicare for All will lead to an abrupt increase in the wait times for patients. The proposition is under the false impression that implementing Medicare for all would boost healthcare in the U.S. It won't. Providing everyone with medical health will lead to an abrupt increase in the number of patients and the need for more supplies. As the rate and the shortage of doctors rapidly increase due to Medicare for all, the patients who need specialized urgent medical attention will be forced to wait until the next specialist doctor is available. Sally Pites reports about Canada, which currently has a Medicare for all implemented. Start quote, Canadian patients wait months for care. In 2018, they idealed a median of 19.8 weeks for specialist treatment after obtaining a referral from a general practitioner, end quote. Long wait times can lead to death, but Chus Barua, Nadima Small, and Taylor Jackson reports over the 16-year period, increases in wait times for medically necessary care may be associated with 44,273 additional deaths. This was a report based on studies in Canada, where the population is 10 times smaller than the US. If we take the death toll and convert it to make it more reasonable in the US, there will be around 442,000 deaths just due to wait times. Medicare for all is bound to bring this burden to the US if adopted here as well. The impact of increased wait times is more lives being killed from a preventable cause. Now, to quickly address a point commonly made by the affirmation, they believe that many of those in poverty who cannot afford healthcare right now will have a shot of getting out of poverty under Medicare for all, since their expensive healthcare will become free. However, the affirmation does not realize that healthcare under Medicare for all isn't technically free. RPCSenate.gov reports that the proposed Medicare for all system would cost an additional $32 trillion. They then continue that in order to compensate for the insane financial sum, it would require a 20% tax increase to implement. In the end, poor people will not be brought out of poverty, if not pushed even deeper into debt. Because the doctor shortage will exacerbate due to because of Medicare for all, I strongly negate this bill. Thank you.
Right on time. And that's the kind of fire and passion that we want to see from each of y'all. Thanks for that, Edward. And also judges, if you need a little bit more time to sort of mark down your rubrics in between presentations, please let me know. With that said, let's move on to our next presenter, Alex Lee. Is Alex here? All right, I guess Alex isn't here today. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah, also, I guess if it might be helpful to do what Edward did. He set a timer to let himself know exactly how much time he has left. So maybe that could be helpful for the rest of you as well. Let's hear from Alyssa Choi. Is Alyssa here?
Hi.
Oh, I don't see you.
Oh, is my mic not working?
I can hear you, but I don't know if I see you.
Is it better now? Is it slightly better now?
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I'll have to go
Great.
really close.
Yeah, can we see her whole face? I think it's cut off.
Oh,
Yeah. If you
like, can you
pull
hear
like
me
your-
from this distance?
I can hear you.
Okay, that's good.
Whenever you're ready, I will start the timer.
Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I'm going to be talking about gender pay gap. Today in our society, we are well aware of people trying to gain equal rights and building our society together. But there is still something that is yet to be solved and is less aware in our society today: the gap in payment between men and women. The gender wage gap is real, and it hurts women by suppressing their earning and making it harder to balance work and family. The pay gap between men and women is not mentioned as much on social media and the news. There are so many places that see this as the norm, as if this isn't wrong. The gender pay gap is not a new problem. The predicament has been going on for many, many years. This was and still is some kind of inequality between the two genders. In our society, many people label women as weak and still believe that they should stay home and take care of the kids. Women's ability and skills are undervalued, making them earn less than men for doing comparable jobs. For quite a long time, women were paid less than 77 cents for every dollar paid to men. Today, women earn around 81 cents for every dollar a man makes. This gap closed up but is yet to be equal to each other. It may not sound much, but as the price increases, the gap increases as well. For example, if a man works at the same occupation as a man, and a man earns $10K, There are cases where a woman can only earn only $8K, a $2,000 difference. Now, this doesn't apply to every occupation. There are still jobs that equally pay both, but it's still common to see unequal payment between the two genders, as if it is okay to continue on. We don't realize that lower payment towards women can also lead to an increase in poverty. Those who are still unable to support their family and get themselves out of poverty range struggles to pick themselves up. Equal pay will be able to cut poverty significantly in states with higher than average poverty rates among working women. Yet, people are ignoring this issue to this day. Pay scales for jobs requiring similar skills, qualifications, or experience tend to be lower when they are predominantly done by women. In other words, professions dominated by women are low paid, and professions that have become female dominated completely have even lower payments. What is the point of making this generation better than before if there are still discrimination between the two genders? People should not be treated differently because of their gender. Serious attempts to understand this gender wage gap should not include shifting the blame to women for not earning more. People need to start being aware of how common it is around the world and focus on fixing the social issue. This injustice of gender pay gap is just as serious as the inequality coming up from racism, and we should do something to stop this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that, Alyssa. I'm just marking down the timer here. Sorry, just checking the chats real quick. Thank you, Alyssa. Let's go with our next presentation. So we're skipping DY. Let's hear from Bianca Lee. Oh, also, if we could just, is Bianca here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, just give us like a couple of seconds, let the judges fill out their rubrics, and then we'll get started with yours. Judges, are we ready for the next one?
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so whenever you're ready, Bianca, I will start the timer.
Hi, my name is Bianca, and my topic for today is going to be why cancel culture is so toxic. So I feel like we've all been there. We go on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, and you see like that Charli D'Amelio has been canceled for the 3rd time. And you go to see what it's about, and she made a video saying she wanted dino nuggets. You laugh it off, and now you see the next post, which is canceling Jenna Marbles for a 10-plus-year-old tweet that she made. That was racist. I understand that cancel culture can still be effective if it's used right, but it's not. And I feel like it's starting to lose its meaning. And we're canceling influencers left and right. And if someone made an offensive tweet 16 years ago, but has decided to donate $1 million to charity right now, they'd be canceled without any mercy. And the reason why I oppose this idea is because in our lifetimes, we've all made mistakes, every single one of us. But because influencers are under scrutiny, why should they be perfect? I'm not defending people like Shane Dawson or Jeffree Star, who has obviously been known for a disgusting past and has been exposed for making the same mistakes currently. But people who actually want to learn from the opportunity and the mistakes that they made in the past should not be canceled, because nobody's really perfect. And if that was the case and everyone got canceled because they made a mistake, then everyone, say in middle school, would be canceled, or in high school would be canceled, because we all make mistakes. And do you guys remember YouTube 10 years ago? People were allowed to say swears without getting demonetized, and social media was such a free place for everyone to release their creativity. And now we have to be perfect and somehow reverse the past, even if we've changed and become a completely new person. I miss being able to enjoy social media, and I miss the safe place it used to be. Cancel culture is toxic, and I feel like we all know it. People who have hated an influencer for years but had no reason to hate them can immediately find something from their past and use it as backup. And now they're immediately canceled. Nobody in this world is perfect, and I feel that the standards of cancel cultures are way too high. If cancel culture continues in the way that it is, everyone that has ever had a platform will be canceled within the next year. Nothing can be enjoyed anymore. And here's the thing, even if you're the most unproblematic influencer to ever land on the face of this earth, chances are you'll have a hater. And nowadays you can get canceled for all types of things: eating food that's not from your culture, showing too much skin, or showing or expressing your own opinions that's different from others. I feel like we can't go on social media without having like at least one person be canceled each day. And I really think that people who have changed now shouldn't be canceled because of something that they said, 16 years ago. It just doesn't really make sense to me.
Great. Thank you, Bianca. Yeah, it's definitely, cancel culture definitely seems like something everybody is talking about these days, and definitely stokes a lot of fear as far as people's online presence and what they post and whatnot. Yeah, great topic. Let's give our judges a couple of seconds, and during that time, if our next presenter could prepare after Bianca, we have Ella Mohanram. Is Ella here?
Yeah, hi.
Great. Just give us a couple of seconds for the judges to fill out their rubrics, and then we'll get started with your presentation. Judges, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
Great.
Ready.
Okay, well, Ella, whenever you're ready to get started, I'm going to hit the timer. So whenever you're ready.
The infamous tweets of former President Donald Trump came to an end with the ban of his Twitter account, @RealDonaldTrump, following the Capitol Hill riots. As many of us believe, this insurrection was mainly caused by the false information of election results spread by Trump himself. Many other social media platforms, such as Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube, followed suit and banned Trump and his allies. Once the initial euphoria of banning Trump died down, I realized that we may have unleashed something that can have very dangerous repercussions and brings up the serious debate on social media censorship. We cannot ignore the good social media has done for society. With many important issues, it has become increasingly important to share information and take action. For example, many of us have turned to Instagram to raise awareness on the increase of anti-Asian racism and hate crimes. However, social media is being weaponized. It has allowed false information and hate speech to spread rapidly, like Pizzagate or false election-related news. Through an MIT Sloan research study from 2020, it was found that falsehoods are 70% more likely to be retweeted and reach their first 1,500 people 6 times faster than the truth. This shocking statistic alone might make you think we need censorship. So the easy answer would be to just censor all fake news. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech. These words are part of something we all know as the Constitution, more specifically the First Amendment. The protections of the First Amendment bans the government from infringing on our freedom of speech. These protections are important because we have seen what happens if the government censors free speech. We could turn into a tyrannical state. In Russia, where free speech is not as protected, the government has forced platforms to ban certain phrases, such as TikTok, which banned LGBTQ+ related words like gay and transgender. So in America, it looks like the responsibility of censorship has fallen to the platforms themselves. However, what this has done has left these privatized companies with a potentially dangerous power and responsibility to determine what is and what is not free speech. We have to remember that the main objective of these companies is to make money, not to protect freedom. Trump's social media ban may have been a cause for celebration, but social media platforms have demonstrated their power to censor the top American government figure. Let's think about that for a moment. This is a dangerous precedent. We have allowed platforms to have a great influence over elected leaders in a democracy. Another example was the banning of Parler by AWS. By silencing voices on prominent platforms, these voices will turn to platforms with less regulations. These new platforms will be highly polarized and will result in insularity and fragmentation. So have we chosen an oligarchy instead of tyranny? So what is the solution? There certainly is no easy answer for ensuring freedom of speech while preventing hate speech. However, by not having some controls in place, dangerous voices with the potential to incite violence can spread faster and have devastating effects in the real world. But one's right of freedom of speech should not demean or endanger someone's life. It should not promote racism. It should not promote violence. We have seen what happens when hate is not controlled. Denny Kim, 27, Air Force veteran, violently beaten and mocked with racial slurs in LA's Koreatown. I believe that this is a problem that is a side effect of a technological revolution. Therefore, the answer also has to come from technology, but not technology alone. Our laws have to change to ensure that these private entities take the necessary and consistent steps to A, avoid censorship, but B, also highlight hate speech, fake news, and other misinformation. This problem must be solved with urgency because it should not be too much to treat each other as human beings, deserving of respect and equality.
Excellent. Great job, Ella. I'm going to write down your time there. Yeah, definitely very relevant to the stuff that we're seeing on the news, in regards to our Asian American community. So thank you for that. As the judges fill out their rubrics, if our next presenter, Daniel, could get ready. Is Daniel Jun here? I guess Daniel's not here. So after Daniel is Andrew Kim. Is Andrew Kim here? Okay. Is Yumin Sung here? Yumin?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. So while the judges fill out their scorecards, if you could just get ready to present. Just give them another couple seconds. And also, I see a couple of people in the chat are asking about recording today's session. I will share the recording with everyone after the meeting. Okay, judges, do you need a little bit more time?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Ready.
So with that said, Yumin, whenever you're ready, we'll start the timer.
All right. Hey guys, so this will be the most exciting topic you've ever heard, and obviously the most exciting one you'll ever hear. Advanced mathematics and its relation to K-pop. Just kidding. Anyways, 2 + 3 + 4 - 2 - 1 - 1. What's the answer? You may think the answer is 5, but the answer is 1. Why? Girls' Generation started off as 9 and ended as 5, but there's still one group that changed the K-pop industry. Girls' Generation, or 소녀시대 in Korean, are known as the nation's girl group. First of all, who are they? Well, Girls' Generation is a 9-member group consisting of Taeyeon, Sunny, Tiffany, Shoyeon, Yuri, Suyoung, Yuna, Soyeon, and former member Jessica. They debuted in August 2007 with their single Into the New World. In 2009, they gained nationwide popularity through their song G and Genie, and was there named the nation's girl group. But what made 소녀시대 so special? What really made them the nation's girl group? From the older groups in their day, Sonishide took their good parts and revised its lacking parts and used it as a base to make themselves stand out. Fun fact, this led to Sonishide being called the textbook for girl groups. Sonishide danced in almost perfect sync. They were very focused on precision and dance formations. Why was this so important? Back in their day, groups were not so focused on dance, but rather focused on looking nice. This made Sonishide one of the first groups to dance in sync and in formations. If you watch videos of older groups such as SES or Pinkle, you can see their dancing can just barely be considered movement. But if you watch Sonishide performances, you can see a huge difference. Also, they had diverse concepts that never overlapped. Each comeback showed a new side of them, ranging from light and bubbly to strong and dark concepts. Because of this, Sonishide was able to gain fans of all types and ages. This was somewhat new because groups back then, and even groups now, usually only stuck to one concept. Also, they focus on chorus parts much more than solo moments. Pretty much all their songs have a combined chorus parts, for example, Run Devil Run, Mr. Mr., The Boys, etc. And having lots of members made Sonishide different from others. It was almost considered a jumpstart in their popularity because no one had ever seen a girl group with that many members. This allowed Girls' Generation to spread out and gain popularity outside of just singing and dancing. Some of the members acted in dramas, some of them were models, and there were even subunits in Girls' Generation as well. All of these points made Sonishide fame reach international levels in the peak of their career. So, what was the peak of their career? From 2009 to 11, Girls' Generation won the Disc Taesang, the grand honor of all awards, and 2 digital Taesangs. They became the first girl group to win the grand prize 3 years in a row, and also the first girl group to win the Disc Taesang. They even had a few songs to top the Billboard charts, like The Boys and a subunit song by TTS, Taeyeon, Tiffany, and Soyeon, Twinkle. Even after their popularity had calmed down in 2016, Girls' Generation was identified as the most legendary and influential K-pop group, female K-pop group throughout history, by a panel of 30 experts in the Korean music industry. And finally, as of June 6, 2020, Sonishide is still the most awarded K-pop group of all time. In the 10 plus years Sonishide has been together, hundreds of other girl groups debuted, looking up to them and trying to follow their footsteps. Now it seems the generation of Girls' Generation has ended, while their legacy and influence continues to live on in today's groups.
Excellent. Thank you, Yumin. It's good to see another Sohwon in the room here. I'm also a big Girls' Generation fan, so I love hearing all of it. Let's give the judges a little bit of time to fill out their cards. And after Yumin, we will have Marie's presentation. Is Marie here?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Great. We'll give you a little bit of time to prepare while the judges wrap up. So just sit tight for a second.
Okay, fellow Sohwon is done here.
See, there's Sohwon's in the building. Hello. So judges, are you ready for the next speech?
I'm ready.
Me too.
Yup.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. So with that said, Marie, whenever you're ready, we'll start the timer.
From microaggression to outright violence, Asian Americans have faced an uptick in hate crimes. There is a 150% spike in Asian American hate crimes in all major US cities, even as overall hate crime numbers have lowered. The cause for most of this? People are blaming anyone who looks remotely Asian for the spread of the coronavirus. Encouraged by former President Donald Trump's xenophobic language during his speeches, many people have been motivated to blame Asians for the pandemic. His actions have caused major damage in Asian communities. The elderly have faced many attacks, being pushed, punched, or in some extreme cases, left for dead on the street. And this has not just started in 2021. 122 similar attacks occurred in 2020, with New York having the highest increase, with 3 reported incidents in 2019 to 28 in 2020, an 833% change. These unprovoked attacks should horrify any onlookers, Asian or not, which is why there are some organizations trying to help. The Stop AAPI Asian American/Pacific Islander Hate organization is a hate tracker where they document the crimes and educate people about them. We need more programs such as these, and most of the assault cases are not being judged as hate crimes since that would lead to a longer sentence. The authorities, if they can make sure that there's more security in the areas where Asian populations are higher, would be able to protect people and prevent the crimes. How many of you have heard the term model minority? People who are model minorities are those who have a perceived higher socioeconomic success. The term is typically applied to Asian Americans. Doesn't the term model minority seem like a good thing? After all, isn't it good to be perceived as the ideal? But that's not what being a model minority is. We are all a diverse people with different experiences and should not be stereotyped. There's a statistic showing that Asian American students have more difficulties with stress, sleep, and feelings of hopelessness, yet they are less likely to seek counseling. While it is true that most Asian students do tend to favor math and science, it might be because everyone around us urges for a career path that doesn't include our interests and abilities. There's no need to struggle with achieving perfection. Focus and find what you really want to do. The damage has been done, but it doesn't mean the situation can't change. We are not the docile and obedient model minority. We are a people who can make a real impact where it matters. Their hate cannot divide us, as we are part of a different generation, and we must find a way to combat these issues.
Great. Marie, thank you so much for talking about the model minority myth, especially. I feel like that's something that I only really started learning about when I was in college. So it's great to hear like the passion that you feel about how this seemingly innocuous concept is actually harmful and is more divisive than inclusive. So thanks for talking about that. So while the judges complete the scorecards, is Joshua Kim here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so just sit tight for a few more seconds. We'll let the judges finish up and then we'll get started with your speech.
Okay, thanks.
All right, judges, are we ready for the next one?
I'm good to
Yep.
go.
Excellent. So with that said, Joshua, whenever you're ready, we'll start the timer.
Hi, my name is Joshua Kim, and today I'll be talking about being an American. With all the hate crimes on Asians being committed on the news, I thought my topic would be relevant today. When people think of an American, they all have preconceived images of what a true American looks like. When people think of an American, they might think of a Black person or a white person. Rarely will someone look at an Asian person like me and assume that they are an American. My parents immigrated from South Korea, but I was born in America and I've lived in America for all my life. Additionally, I fully support American values such as freedom, equality, and the idea that hard work leads to success. However, all my life, I've encountered people who still look down on me for not looking like a typical American. But am I not an American? Ever since I was in elementary school, people have asked me where I come from. And when I say I come from America, they look at me funny and question the validity of my answer. They might ask themselves, how can someone who looks so different be from America? But I have an American passport, American birth certificate, and I've lived as a natural-born citizen in America for all my life. I listen to American music, celebrate American holidays such as the 4th of July, and enjoy watching American sports such as football and basketball, and actively pay attention to American politics. Yet, everywhere I go, people will still doubt my nationality based on my ethnicity. I stand for the national anthem when it plays, which is more than I can say for many Americans. And when I become an adult, I plan on fulfilling every civic duty required of me as an American citizen. When I turn 18, I will pay my taxes, serve in jury duty, vote in elections, and serve in the military if necessary. I adhere to the belief that all men and women are created equal and treat everyone with respect, no matter their gender, color, or race, or even if I do not agree with them. I also believe, just like many other Americans, that hard work leads to success and that America is a land of equal opportunity. Therefore, am I not an American? Despite taking part in many of the same pursuits that other Americans enjoy and holding the same beliefs and ideals that others share, people have always assumed that because I am Asian, that I come from China or some other country. But am I not an American? Oftentimes, what defines an American is not what they look like, but is defined by the content of their character. Yet for most of my life, I have faced stereotypes on my nationality based on the fact that I'm not Black or white, but that I am Asian. Well, what many people fail to realize is that sometimes the people who look different are the true Americans. After all, America itself was founded by immigrants from all over the world, not just Africa and Europe. Even though I might look different from the typical Black or white American, I'm just as American as anyone else. Some of us here gathered today probably have faced the same stereotypes on their nationality based on their appearance. Recently, I have seen many cases of different people who falter in the face of similar obstacles and develop a victim mentality and blame others for their failures. Yet, we must not give in to these challenges and become disheartened, nor develop a victim mentality ourselves and blame everyone else for our troubles. Instead, I urge you all to work hard to overcome whatever challenges you may face and look not towards what your country or others can do for you, but what you can do for yourself. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that, Joshua. And yeah, it's definitely an experience that a lot of us, not most of us, all of us have faced of this, where are you from? And, you know, those of us who were born here are still being regarded as foreigners or aliens to this country, you know, but yeah. And also, as Joshua said something about doing your civic duty and voting, which it just made me think this year, I think New York City has city council elections and mayoral elections coming up. I'm not sure about other states, but if you're turning 18 this year, I think you are eligible to register to vote. So if you're able to do that, I highly encourage you to do so. And June also said the "Are you from North Korea?" question, which is also another eye roller for sure.
Yeah.
So let's see, judges.
It's okay. I'm kind of hungry. Can you bring up food? What is it?
Okay, there we go. Also, do you know BTS? Yeah, it's real eye-rolling questions that you're sort of faced as Asian people or Korean people in this country. Anyway, I digress. After Joshua, we have Rudy Bochesney. I'm so sorry if I say your last name incorrectly. But next we have Rudy's presentation. Is Rudy here?
I'm here.
Great. Let's see how the judges are doing.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you.
Loud and clear. Okay.
Judges, are we ready for Rudy's presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so with that said, Rudy, whenever you're ready, we'll start the timer.
Do you guys have the childhood experience of finding a gigantic hill in your neighborhood? I mean, a gigantic hill, and having the impulse of riding your bicycle down it? I'm proud to say that I have. As a stupid 9-year-old, I had the genius idea of going from top to bottom, probably knowing that I would probably reach an early death. As I went down the hill, probably reaching Mach 5 speeds, I found myself kissing the hard concrete road. Someone would assume that I would pick myself up and run home crying to my mother, crying that the hill was way too mean. But no, I picked myself up, picked up my bicycle up, and I went up. I went again and again, face planting every time. And it hurt more and more every time I did it. Now, why would someone put themselves through so much pain? It's simple. It's success. It surprises me that people believe that success encompasses reaching your goal in a single try. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, two of the wealthiest men in the world, have failed a number of failure and setbacks. Their first businesses have failed, and they have faced a number of failures in their personal lives. Stephen King, author of It, the one film that has given me nightmares for weeks, faced rejections probably 1,000 times for his manuscript for Carrie, a cult classic today. After his 1,000 rejecto, he threw away the manuscript only to have his wife pick it up and tell him to try it again. And here today, we have Carrie being a best-selling book. I'm sure Albert Einstein has made a number of mistakes in his equations and today he's known as probably one of the smartest man, if not the smartest man on the world. Do you guys love KFC? Because I do too. Colonel Sanders, at 62, has faced rejection almost 1,000 times before getting the success that he wished to have. Seth Rogen, who has failed to make me laugh for years and has failed to get the recognition of a comedy actor from me, has recently actually succeeded to make me laugh with the blockbuster film Superbad. It's all about failure. Success cannot be made without failure. And although these are the pinnacle of success, we do also can apply this to ourselves. As babies, we don't know how to walk. Yet as we fall over and over again, possibly turning into a turtle, we learn to walk. We learn to walk and walk and walk and walk until it becomes natural to us. But as a baby, we didn't know how to walk. And there's a number of things that we are afraid of failing at, and yet we miss out these experiences when success doesn't have to be the first time. It's part of our DNA to fail. Humans naturally adapt and evolve from these failures. We fall on the ground, pick ourselves up, and try again. We survive. Some of us may die, but we try again. And just as I enjoyed the breeze touching my bruised face as I glided down the road, my friends cheering me besides the road, and I failed probably 100 times, I enjoyed that glimpse of success after all those failures. Even though I didn't get it on the first try, I knew that me getting to ride down that gigantic hill was 100 times better than getting it on my first try.
Thank you, Rudy. Yeah, it's definitely a valuable lesson for all of us. Maybe it's about the journey and the experiences and the failures that we face, and that makes us that much more well-rounded as people, right? So thanks for that, Rudy. Our next presentation is going to be from Caitlin. Is Caitlin here?
Yep, I'm here.
Great. And then after Caitlin, we will hear from Joel Kim. Is Joel here?
Yes, I am here.
Great. So after Caitlin and Joel presents, we're going to have a break. During that time, you can, get a glass of water, go to the bathroom, grab some snacks. And that will also be when the judges will deliberate in a separate meeting room just to discuss some of the standouts. And then we will, after the break, we'll proceed with the rest of our speech competition. With that said, judges, are you ready to hear from Caitlin?
I'm good.
Yes.
Excellent. So with that said, Caitlin, whenever you're ready.
Hello, everyone. I'm Caitlin Yu, and today I plan on talking about an issue that holds the utmost importance to me. Every year in New York City, thousands of 8th graders aim for one goal: to pass the specialized high school admission test and get admitted into one of the 9 specialized high schools in NYC. The 9 specialized high schools are public schools with academically and artistically gifted students. Admissions to the specialized high schools is only based on a student's test results on the SHSAT. Although it may seem like a good idea that students are chosen solely on their performance on the SHSAT, the lack of diversity within the schools remains a major issue. Many students and parents consider attending one of the specialized high schools an extreme privilege. These high schools allow students to jumpstart their academic careers by establishing an accelerated curriculum to improve overall competitiveness. For example, Bronx Science boasts hundreds of clubs and sports teams. I feel extremely lucky to be able to access these resources, which allows me and my peers to gauge our interests. I can proudly say that attending a specialized high school is beneficial to you as a student and opens many doors for your future. However, the number of African American and Latino students entering these specialized high schools are shocking. Asian students are the overwhelming majority, taking up 72% of public high school students. In the 2017 to 2018 school year, Latinos made up 7.2%, and African Americans made up only 5.6% of students at specialized high schools. The diversity in these specialized high schools is minimal. Whether I am sitting in class or walking through the hallways, I see that my high school is filled with mostly students of Asian and European descent. I always wondered why there is such a huge gap in the number of African American and Latino students in my high school, and going into deeper thought of this predicament, I understood that there are several factors that play into this lack of diversity. Preparation for the SHSAT mainly takes place outside of school. Students need to seek test prep on their own behalf. This automatically gives an advantage to students whose families can afford private test prep or tutoring services, which can easily cost upwards of $3,000 per semester. Therefore, a student who works hard but cannot afford private tutoring services is already at a disadvantage. I saw around me that all of my classmates and friends in middle school would spend thousands of dollars of expensive test prep for the SHSAT and stay there for hours after school. However, as a student who did not go into any test prep services, mainly because I took the test for fun and had no prior knowledge of what specialized high schools were, I realized the results of test prep. Test prep is not required for the SHSAT for most people, but for some it is. Those who go take test prep for the SHSAT use it as practice for themselves to give a basic understanding of what to expect. Every student is different. There are those who are better at regular school exams, and there are those who are better in standardized testing. The SHSAT is more inclined toward those students who excel in standardized testing. And yes, there are better ways to make yourself a test taker, but going to test prep doesn't always mean you'll be able to get into your school of choice. So overall, this factor can really depend on what type of student you are. The NYC DOE has never explained that the content on the SHSAT is not related to what students are learning in middle school either. The tested materials is not in the regular middle school curriculum. Therefore, passing the curriculum does not surely guarantee success on the SHSAT. Unlike the annual state tests and reading exams every New York City student has to take, schools spend considerable time prepping their students for the subject test regions or state tests. The results for these exams act as the basis for understanding student proficiency in these specific subjects. Every teacher prepares their students for the state tests, unlike the SHSAT, and they explicitly assess what students are supposed to know in each grade. However, for the past couple of years, Mayor Bill de Blasio has proposed a plan to dismiss the SHSAT. He plans to include admission solely depending on the top performing students in each middle school across New York City. Who is to say that this plan is fairer than the SHSAT? Every school is different in terms of community, teachers, schoolwork, and curriculum. There are too many different factors that would cause an imbalance in the fairness of admission with Mayor Bill de Blasio's plan. The debate on whether or not they should end the SHSAT once and for all still plays on. However, even though the admission test has many flaws, there is no fair way to change admissions. As you listen to more speeches later on tonight, I want you to think to yourself, how would you fix this lingering issue? Thank you.
Great, Caitlin, and right in time. And thanks for talking about the SHSAT issue. It's definitely something that's been a big point of conversation among the Asian American community in New York City. And I love the passion that you have for this topic. So with that said, next we have Joel Kim. So while the judges finish up their rubrics, Joel, if you could just prepare yourself, and then we'll get to you in a bit.
I'm good to go.
Great. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay. So with that said, Joel, whenever you're ready to go, we'll start the timer.
College. The stage in life where it is arguably the most important. Here is where you decide what career you will pursue, presumably for the rest of your life. Everybody wants to get into a good college, and so we have college applications. When talking about college applications, the one thing that is stressed the most often, besides GPA, is the SAT. Having a good score on the SAT greatly increases the likelihood of getting a scholarship, as well as getting into a good college. However, I think that the SAT does not hold up as a measurement for college readiness, and its value shouldn't be as heavily weighed as it is now. The SAT naturally puts at a disadvantage low-income families. It is common for students to take the SAT multiple times in hope of getting a super score that will help them get into a good college. But those who can't afford private tutoring will see themselves fall far behind their peers. According to the California Department of Education, 356 out of 2,534 schools had no schools taking the SAT. Most of these are schools that are in rural areas, showing the correlation between low-income students and not taking the SAT. Even if students can afford the SAT, they might not be prepared enough to get a good enough score. Although low-income students can try to self-study using practice questions, it will not be as effective as tutoring, and will not get as high a score as they wished. Then the students would have to take the SAT multiple times, and each time costs a lot of money, ranging from $50 to $65 each time. Sometimes students' families' incomes are just above the cut and can't get the waiver, making it difficult for their family just so that they can get a good education, and even just a hope of getting into a good college. This means that those who can afford it can spend many dollars just to improve their grades. This leaves behind those who don't have the resources to afford those studying courses and thus get left behind, not being able to match up to the scores of those who have spent countless of dollars on studying for the SAT. Not only does this make it difficult for those with low income, it only measures how well you can take the SAT. Improving your scores in SAT takes repetition and guidance in studying. The SAT only tests how well you can understand the SAT format and the questions most likely to be given. It doesn't test what colleges want to see, but how well you can basically game the system, using tips and tricks to score as many points as you can. Unlike high school tests, which see if you can retain the information you learned in class, the SAT should allow colleges to see if you are college ready and if you are prepared to go to the next stage of your life. The SAT does not do this. It does not measure your work ethic, integrity, responsibility, or a passion for learning, which is mainly what colleges want to be looking for. It only measures how well you studied for a single test. So what is the solution? Will abolishing the SAT really do any good? Well, the SAT shouldn't be abolished, but colleges should become test optional and view the SAT as a backup score that reinforces the characteristics of the student. College essays, GPA, volunteer hours, after-school programs, recommendation letters, all of these reflect the student much more than the score of the SAT can. The SAT should become test optional and be viewed with less importance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joel. Let's go right down your time here. Great, yeah, and it's definitely something that I think the attitude towards the SAT is changing as far as the admissions process. And yeah, and I'm sure for everybody here, it's all the more relevant. So thank you, Joel, again. With that said, we're going to take a 15-minute break. So in that time, get yourself some water, some snacks, go to the bathroom, do what you have to do, stretch out your legs. And the judges and I will deliberate in a separate meeting room. So rally back. It's 7:20 right now. We'll get started at 7:35. All right, so I'm going to set the breakout room. Give me a second.
I think because each dimension is.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So next up, we have Lena Kim. Lena, whenever you're ready, you can get started and we will start the timer.
Hi everyone, my name is Lena Kim, and to start, I haven't lived very long, just 15 years, and 3 months, 5 days, 8 hours, and anyway, I haven't lived long, so I'm just going to tell you what I've learned so far. As a 15-year-old, I know I'm younger and less experienced than most of you here. I know I'm not an expert at life, and I don't know what the future will hold, but hear me out. There are always times when you decide to do something just because it is the more logical option, and sometimes that could be the right choice. However, at the same time, you should follow your heart, do what you want, and take the risk because it might be a decision that you won't regret taking. Like Lewis Carroll once said, start quote, in the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take, end quote. So if something's on your mind, go take that chance. To refresh your memories, when you were a freshman, you probably heard your upperclassmen say, I regretted not joining any clubs when I was in 9th grade, and now I realize that I should have, etc., right? I was the exact opposite and wanted to try out a ton of clubs while I was still in the first year of high school, aka right now. When I heard of a club that I might like, I just signed up and joined. So I guess you could say I joined a lot of clubs on a whim. For instance, one club kept staying at the back of my mind, and I just had a strong desire to join and felt like I would regret not joining. I was hesitant due to a conflicting schedule, but I did end up joining and I don't regret it. I guess I did kind of go overboard because I now have around 6 clubs on my hands. But that's okay, since I could drop 1 or 2 if I didn't really like them. And that's what you should do too if you're feeling overwhelmed. You see, clubs aren't just about putting them in your resume or your college apps. You shouldn't feel forced to do something just to put it on paper or to make you look better. Similar to getting a job, you shouldn't feel pressure to do something you dislike. Getting back on topic, just be sure to join the ones you want to try. Find a community, friends, people you can turn to, all while doing what you want. It'll probably make high school or college, for that matter, a lot more fun. Not that I even survived my first year of high school, but get what I mean. Now let's talk about COVID, something we can all relate to. The virus that took away a year from all of us, as well as many of our loved ones. It also messed up a lot of our pre-planned events and limited our interaction with people. There's a long list, but let's be positive. For one thing, COVID has given us a lot of free time. We just have to spend it wisely. You can try new, enjoyable things. Maybe you can learn how to play the ukulele, draw realistic art, or program your own video game. There are plenty of options, and you can turn them into your passions. To survive quarantine, you can find a variety of hobbies to keep you busy. What's even better is if the things you've tried and ended up liking can help you decide what you want to do in the future. It's a good chance to find what you want to do, especially if you didn't decide yet, which is another reason why I tried a bunch of new things, because everything was hazy. I can't see my future, so I might as well try to wipe away the fog, little by little, and uncover my future bit by bit. Moving along, I know I'm pretty far from going to college, getting a job, a house, etc. But let me tell you, when it comes to life-changing decisions, don't listen to what other people have to say. Just kidding. I mean, consider their viewpoints and really think it through. But in the end, always put you and your thoughts first. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't ignore what you really want to do, whether it be for a minor decision or a game changer. Don't just toss it in the back of your mind and say, it's not that important. There's other things to focus on. Because like what Brad Turnbull said, start quote, If you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life, end quote. It'll be badgering you for the weeks, months, and maybe even years. So to finish up Turnbull's quote, stop waiting and start today, end quote. And maybe what you want to do is something totally illogical, but don't worry. Some great figures in history were thought of as crazy or mad, but they still went ahead and did what they did. Or maybe what you want to do is something that isn't approved by everyone, and it doesn't have to be. It just has to gain your approval. You don't need to please anyone or fit into everyone's expectations. Just please yourself. Then you can take the first step, take the risk, because it could definitely be worth it. Now, I'm not telling you to go and do something super dangerous that could kill you or something, but I'm just telling you to go and do what you want, things that make you happy. Okay, I know you've probably heard that billions of times, but maybe this time it got through to you. Hopefully, and if you end up regretting what you did, then like what an unknown author once said, start quote, it's better to look back on life and say, I can't believe I did that, than to look back and say, I wish I did that, end quote. I hope you enjoyed my speech and took it to heart. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Lena. Also, I love your use of the props. That was really creative. Let's see here. Next up, we have Angeline. Is Angeline ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so just give our judges a couple more seconds to finish up the rubrics. And then after Angeline, we will have Ashley 1. So just sit tight for a bit. See here. Judges, are we ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent. So whenever you're ready to go, Angeline, we'll start the timer.
Okay. Hi, I'm Angeline Yu. I know myself. I've accepted the person that I am, and I can confidently say who I am and tell you about my passions, my talents. 3 words that describe me. I'm outgoing, I'm hardworking, and I'm driven to complete every given task with utmost effort. Generic, right? While we all have our own challenges, our mental and physical roadblocks, you would hear such introduction at the beginning of a new class and think absolutely nothing of it. Move on to the next introduction. But what about the journey that allows us to say these simple phrases so nonchalant and so easily? Do you ever feel like you're a stranger to yourself? You obviously have awareness of your likes and your dislikes. I like cute chubby animals, banana milk. I don't like mushrooms and the word onion. But going beyond surface level, digging deeper, I grew up feeling like I was no different than someone you brushed past walking down the street. I grew up not knowing why I couldn't just focus, just overcome my challenges like everyone else and complete my simple tasks, be like the rest of my peers. Go up. It's your turn to kick the ball. It's really not that deep. Just do it. You're making such a big deal out of it. Everyone gets nervous. True. But I wasn't nervous. I couldn't breathe. I could physically hear my heartbeat and the world before me go mute. My heart, ready to grow legs, jump out of my chest and leave me there dead. It sounds dramatic. It sounds fake. I'm making a big deal, right? At least that's what everyone around me had to say. My parents, my teachers. That was the experience of my first ever panic attack. Mental health and the disorders that stem from it is a never-ending issue that affects millions of people in the United States alone each year. Despite the magnitude, mental health is an already stigmatized issue, more so with the added cultural layer. I personally struggle and battle daily with depression, anxiety, and ADHD. Growing up in Korea, surrounded by people rooted with the more traditional Korean values, a mental health disorder was unheard of. It was taboo. As my parents would say, oh, you're sad, go study, power through it. Can't focus. Don't be silly, you're just being lazy. Why is our daughter trembling, staring into space in a corner? Oh, she's just the next Einstein. I saw a Facebook post that said every greatest mind did that daily. While I love my parents ever so much, this harmful narrative of not my daughter was very bad and made me feel like I was never going to be good enough. I could never keep up with anything. So competitive and fast-paced, my peers were on book 10, chapter 16, while I was still reading the glossary of book 1, getting distracted every 5 seconds by the color of the clock and of the bulldog walking on the sidewalk who I swore looked like one of the Jonas brothers. I didn't understand why I was the way I was and why I felt the things I felt. I was a stranger. Years go by as a stranger and 8th grade comes around. I was moving to the United States. Here, I meet the people that brought me from being my own stranger to being a possible acquaintance. I met friends who had similar experiences to me, struggled in ways that were too familiar. Slightly more open of the discussion of a mental health disorder, here I met myself in the front steps of hope. Hope that I wasn't actually incapable and hope that I was finally able to find a solution. Fast forward a couple years, I spent researching mental health. I was finally able to convince my parents to explore the possibility of me having a mental health disorder. My junior year, I was diagnosed with the neurobiological disorder of ADHD and the mental health disorders of anxiety and depression. While this isn't your conventional good news, it was good news to me. I was relieved I had an explanation. Diagnosis or not, my struggles don't go away. But with this diagnosis, I was able to learn more about the way I work. I was able to meet myself in a different light. I officially began, but also continued my journey to where I was finally able to put the pieces together and feel confident after 16 years. Mental health disorders aren't one size fits all. They come in different forms and carry different effects. Because of this and the lack of exposure to such topics, especially in certain cultures, misdiagnosis, late diagnosis, and not getting a diagnosis at all is very frequent and far more frequent than it should be. We must all acknowledge and address the societal perspective and the harmful stigma that we may all carry on the issues of mental health. Today, I'm no longer a stranger to myself. I know myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Angeline. And thank you for talking about your mental health journey. It isn't always easy to share those things with a group of people, especially one of this size. So yeah, and I really appreciated the empathy that you have in your speech as well. So while the judges finish up their scoring cards, we have Ashley 1 next. Is Ashley here? Let me see. Okay, I guess Ashley's not here. So is Samuel Lee here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. So Sam, you'll be going next. So just sit tight for a bit. And then after Sam, we will have Eunice. Is Eunice here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. So just sit tight and you two will go after the judges finish their deliberations. Okay, judges, are we ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. With that said, Sam, whenever you're ready, we'll start the clock.
Hello, my name is Samuel Lee, and the title of my speech is Why Elite Colleges Should Admit Students Through Lottery. Last month, Chrissy Davis from Michigan won the Mega Millions jackpot and earned $55 million. The lottery is a game of luck, and everyone has an equal chance of winning. In this game, there are no sore losers. People don't feel depressed if they lose, and in fact, they continue to play. So, how about applying the lottery to college admissions? What is the idea around my belief? Elite colleges set near perfect standards as a minimal standard. Colleges challenge students to become unrealistic ideal models. They try their hardest to reach the top, and some get rewarded for it. But what happens to the students who receive similar grades but get rejected? Student applications for elite colleges are very similar and only vary by a few points. Because elite colleges choose students who are perfect, the remaining students feel crushed. By getting marginally lower grades, they feel inferior and lose the drive to reach the top. I suggest that colleges should admit students to the lottery, where everything is fair game, chance is fair. For this process, there will be a first pool, students who meet the necessary requirements for the elite college. From this pool, colleges would randomly choose students through the lottery for the next semester. What are the benefits for this new system? Selecting students through the lottery would eliminate pressure and competitiveness. Students would realize that they were unlucky and that they weren't the problem. After all, they did the best they could and managed to be a part of the lottery. By applying the lottery to college admissions, the same mindset will follow suit. Students who do not get chosen from universities will not feel depressed as they realize the system is based on luck. Students wouldn't be able to burden the society wouldn't be able to burden the upcoming generation as they had no control over the situation. Students would realize that they were not lucky this time and would move on. Applicants who do get accepted wouldn't boast about their success either. The chosen students were only accepted because they were only luckier, nothing else, humbling them. As mentioned before, top universities would create an initial pool of students who meet the college's standards. Students who enter this pool will still feel pride and this pride is beneficial as they realize that their hard work allowed them to enter the lottery. This sense of accomplishments motivates students to continue to pursue other colleges, just like how lottery players continue to play even after continuously losing. I believe society should offer a fair opportunity for the new generation. Elite universities have high minimum requirements. There won't be much of a difference within a student's college portfolio. After all, most applicants would have what? Near perfect GPAs, high SAT and ACT scores, and many will show strong leadership skills. By creating a lottery of students, students will have less burden and schools will also solve racial representation. Recently, colleges have been prioritizing seats for minorities, setting off a controversial issue. The lottery is blind, as everyone has an equal chance of being accepted. Thus, racial demographic will no longer be a concern for either the public or for the college. If colleges continue to press for a wide variety of demographic and want equal representation, for example, they want 1/4 Latino, 1/4 Asian, 1/4 European, 1/4 African American, they could group students by race and randomly select them. This will allow each demographic to have equal representation and each student to have an equal chance of representing their background. Therefore, I strongly suggest that colleges change the admission system by adopting the lottery. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sam. That's a really creative topic, and it's definitely an idea that I've never heard of before, but a very intriguing one at that. So thank you again. After Sam, we have Eunice.
Ari, could you give me 1 minute? There's some background noise that I want to take care of. Okay?
Okay, yeah. Got it. Yep.
1 minute. Yeah.
So while we wait for Erwin, Eunice, you can prepare for your presentation. After Eunice, we will have Grace Ha. Is Grace here?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. So hang tight. After Grace, we're going to have Ethan Park. Is Ethan Park here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. So just let's wait for Erwin to get back, and then we'll get started with Eunice's speech.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem. So Eunice, whenever you're ready, we'll get started with the clock.
What would you like to do after a long week? Most of us, myself included, would say we would like to FaceTime our friends, watch our favorite show, or even just get a cold drink from the fridge. As you can tell from these examples, humans rely on technology or other appliances to fuel our daily lives. However, these appliances must be run on one common thing: electricity. Now, I can guarantee that most of you and your families use fossil fuels or nuclear energy from a local power plant to power the electricity in your house. However, there is a much cheaper, safer, and environmental-friendly option to power our essential appliances: solar energy. Solar energy is almost infinite, as the sun will be around for billions of more years, or for as long as we live. It is so abundant that it is classified as a non-renewable energy source. This makes it an excellent choice for energy because it does not produce any carbon emission, therefore making it the cleanest and most abundant source of energy, as stated by the Solar Energy Industry Association. As of now, around 20% of the United States utilizes nuclear energy, which can be translated as nearly 70 million people. The average cost of a nuclear power plant is $20 billion, with the average household having to pay around $120 per month for electrical bills. However, by investing in an energy solar system, your electrical bills could decrease by a drastic 50%. The monthly cost of solar electricity could be as low as only $60 per month. Moreover, by October of 2020, solar energy was declared as the cheapest way of electricity by the International Energy Agency. In addition to low monthly costs, solar energy is a much safer option. In terms of nuclear energy, one small mishap could lead to an explosion of radiation or nuclear fallout. On the other hand, solar energy does not produce any toxic or dangerous substances that can be detrimental to humans. Not only is it safe for humans, it is also safe for the environment. The average American household produces around 15,000 pounds of carbon dioxide annually by using fossil fuels.
But by investing in a cleaner use of solar energy, carbon emissions can be reduced by 80%. Exceedingly reducing the amount of carbon released into our environment can help with major issues such as global warming and climate change. Who wouldn't want to save money, carbon emissions, and our planet? Now you may be thinking, well, if solar energy is the best option, why aren't more people utilizing it already? The main reasons for this are common misconceptions and worries about the upfront cost of the system. Many people have come across the thought of, what about nighttime? Or what if there's a snowstorm? It is a misunderstanding when people think that solar panels won't operate under certain weather conditions. The solution for these questions are the batteries that the solar energy can be stored in for emergencies or later use. In addition to these, there are concerns about how expensive the installation of the system costs. To speak truthfully, it is true that it is quite pricey at the start, but it will serve to be much more beneficial in the long run. The installation of solar panels along with batteries can come to around $25,000. Although this may sound like too much, data shows that nearly 20 years later, you will be able to save up to $35,000 using solar energy rather than any other energy source. It is easy to overlook all the benefits using solar energy has to offer, but careful consideration makes it evident that solar energy is the best way to go. All in all, solar energy has proven to be the best option when it comes to powering you and your necessities. With a cleaner, safer, cheaper energy source, the benefits are practically endless. You will be able to ensure safety, save thousands of dollars, and even help save your environment. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Eunice. And great use of the statistics, especially for a topic like this, about clean energy and more sustainable sources of energy. Thank you again. Next, we have Grace Ha, and then after Grace, we have Ethan Park. So let's give the judges a few more seconds to finish up their scoring cards. So after Grace and Ethan, we are then going to hear from Daniel Kim. Is Daniel Kim here? Apparently not. Okay. All right, let me see who's next after that. So after Grace and Ethan, we'll hear from Jacob. Is Jacob here?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, great. Judges, are we ready for the next one, or do we need a little more time?
Ready.
Ready.
Great. With that said, let's hear from Grace. Whenever you're ready, we'll start the timer.
Hi, my name's Grace, and I'm going to be talking about population and the environment. As each year passes, there is a growing concern for Earth's sustainability with the world population. Human population has been exponentially increasing ever since the Industrial Revolution, and right now it stands at about 7.8 billion. Many people think that Earth is in grave danger with such a rapid growth rate, but humanity is actually doing better than they would expect. The average number of children that a family has plays a big factor in the growing population. Changes in family size have happened in some of the most densely populated countries, such as Bangladesh. There's a saying in Bangladesh that is heard everywhere, and it translates to no more than 2 kids, one is even better. There are many families that are considered to be in a cultural shift away from big families, according to Hans Rosling, a Swedish physician and statistician. In fact, government jobs are given out to women in particular villages to try to help others to have smaller families. They can provide both advice and contraceptives to achieve this goal. In 1972, women had about 7 babies in Bangladesh, and in 2012, that number has decreased to just about 2 babies per woman. In just a span of 40 years, the average number of babies per woman in Bangladesh decreased by 5. This decline in birth rate shows the vast improvement that humanity is already going through. As a country becomes more developed, the number of children they have decreases. Not only does this average number of children per family have a big influence on the population, women's education does too. With the increase of education of women, it has been observed that the world population will decline because of the lower mortality rate. There are a lot of improvements with the human population that can be seen with the increase in women's education and the birth rate decrease. We have seen that the problem with world population has been growing smaller over time. However, there is a bigger issue at hand. When a country becomes more developed, the energy use increases. Economic growth results in energy use, and this has detrimental effects on the environment. The climate change that is happening right now is caused by the burning of fossil fuels and greenhouse gases. There are many improvements with the population increase, but it is important not to lose sight of the environmental problems that can result in the loss of our one and only home, Earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. I guess back to back we have speeches on energy. The other yours has more of an emphasis on human population. So thanks for sharing your research with us. Next, we have Ethan Park. After Ethan, we will have Jacob. And then following Jacob, we will have Eddie Kang. Is Eddie here? I see his name, but I don't know if he's away from keyboard or not. All right, we'll check in with Eddie later. Okay, judges, if you're ready to hear from Ethan, let me know.
Ready?
Yes.
Excellent. Ethan, whenever you're ready, we'll start the timer.
Okay. Hello, my name is Ethan Park, and my speech today is titled Computers and Why You Should Be Invested. Have you ever had a bike chain fall off, had a pop tire, or even a coat zipper get jammed? With a quick search or even just a YouTube video, most, if not all, of these problems can be fixed within 5 to 10 minutes without a sweat. But why? It seems to be because these are all basic inconveniences one runs into everyday life. Similar to computers, most problems can be fixed in the same way without a worry once people gain the knowledge of the basics. Today, I would like to share the hobby that I am most invested in. First, I would like to share my experience with computers. I started playing games around the 2nd grade, passing time mindlessly with Pokemon and Minecraft. This continued on until the 7th grade, where I most likely had an addiction in hindsight, playing competitive shooters and joining tournaments for money. This is where I saw my mom's old laptop seem to lag behind in the performance I wanted. I did everything from researching and watching countless videos, hoping to get my laptop to where I wanted it. But without knowing anything about computers, I could not filter out what advice was good or not. Not being satisfied enough, I was gifted my first gaming computer as my middle school graduation present. Still not doing my own due diligence, I just bought whatever I thought looked cool, not necessarily the best option for my needs. Looking back, I regret my decision, but still enjoyed what I had for the next 3 years. I finally began to take an interest in how computers are built, learning the parts and their functions and how they compare to one another. I was able to look past all the marketing buzzwords associated with computers, such as the best performance or fastest whatever, and figured out what I wanted, and was able to build my own computer last summer. An easy way to sum up the experience of building a computer was that it was just like assembling an adult Lego set. Everything just clicked into place. From the speech, I would like for all of you to learn from my own experience and share the reasons why all of you should be invested in learning about computer hardware and an extension, the software behind it. As our society continues to innovate and lean towards becoming an internet-based era, knowing the products that you use on a daily basis can help you save time and money. One example I can share is a friend of mine spending $4,000 on a MacBook Pro. He worked all summer and used some of his savings to be able to buy this laptop. Although I expressed my concerns, telling him that there are better options, he was swayed by the marketing, claiming that he would start editing videos and would still be able to play games on it. Now, don't get me wrong. I think MacBooks are great products, but this just simply did not suit his needs. And nearly 2 years after his purchase, he regrets spending so much money and uses it no differently than what a basic laptop can do. The value of a computer is not based on how much money you spend, rather than what you use as a laptop determines where you would spend your money. On the note of saving time, knowing how much knowing how your own computer works, you will be able to self-diagnose and repair it yourself without having to send it to someone else, worrying about them damaging it further or wondering if they overcharge you or not. I think there's a lot of parallels from the computer industry to the car industry in this regard. This hobby/obsession of mine has led me to pursue a career in engineering, yet I do not think that is a requirement for others. I think our generation already has a head start in the field as a result of growing up around technology and games. And I do not think it's late for anyone of all ages to get into learning about computers as a hobby and to know what is helpful compared to what is just marketed well to sell a product. To wrap up, I think there's a stigma around computers, with they're all just being ones and O's, being too complicated for the general population. But no matter what experience you have, within a couple hours, you could have a basic understanding of what it takes to get a computer up and running, guaranteed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. I love that your persuasive argument is coming from a place of experience and concern for your peers to have the best options for their computer. And meanwhile, I'm zooming in on a terrible MacBook Air that is just about nearing the end of its life. So thanks, Ethan. Next up, we have Jacob. And then after Jacob will be Eddie. Is Eddie here? Is he AFK? All right. Is Jacob here?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, great. So judges, are you just about finished with your rubrics?
I'm done.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. And if you ever need more time, please let me know. With that said, Jacob, you're good to go whenever you are ready.
Imagine a world where you can go to any planet and live on them. Jobs would be completely different. Climate change and overpopulation doesn't exist. Going into neighboring planets and even neighboring solar systems could be in the very close future. Engineers such as Elon Musk predict that we could be going to Mars and living on it in as close as 2026. So what are the benefits of going to other planets? Overpopulation is a real issue, and with thousands of more babies being born by the hour, it's becoming more and more serious. Earth's optimum population would be roughly 1.5 billion to 2 billion people. We are already almost 4 times as much as that, at 7.8 billion and steadily rising. As the population rises, we'll eventually run out of precious resources, such as food and water, which will only end badly. By sending people to different planets, it would allow us to sustain life on Earth, as well as get more people on other planets. We could also make discoveries in science and technology that can be adapted to improve life on Earth. If we spread out to different planets, we could find rare minerals or resources that could not be found anywhere else on Earth. Not only that, but we can make huge scientific advancements and observations far quicker and efficiently than what the rovers can do on Mars. Nye, the CEO of Planetary Society, stated that humans could find and collect data on planets 10,000 times faster than robots could. If we were to find life in other galaxies, and Nye even says that there could be life currently on Mars, the only way we are going to find it is if we inhabit Mars and live for them. You cannot rule out the fact that a Mars rock with life in it landing on the Earth kicked off terrestrial life, and you can only really test that by finding life on Mars, Christopher Impey said, a famous astronomer. Finally, by going to neighboring planets, we could ensure the survival of the human race. An example of what could occur if we don't go to other planets are the dinosaurs. They roamed the Earth for 165 million years until a colossal meteorite wiped them all out. However, if we spread out and go to different planets, there would be a lower chance of us going extinct. Placing humans on more than one planet could ensure our existence for millions of years in the future. With the rapid growth of technology, going into space and living on different planets could be right around the corner in the near future.
Great, thank you so much, Jacob. Yeah, I saw your parents in the background, but thanks for keeping your focus and for completing your speech. That was great. Is Eddie Kang back? I know I called him a couple times. I don't want to keep putting them on the spot, but all right. I think they might be away from keyboard, so we'll just skip over Eddie for now. Next, we have Esther Jung after Jacob. Is Esther Jung here? Esther? I think I saw her come into the room earlier. Okay, I guess Esther's not in the chat room right now. After Esther, we will have Eugene. Is Eugene here?
Here.
Hi, Eugene. Let's give our judges a little bit of time, and then we'll get started with your speech. And then after Eugene, we're going to have Colin. I don't know if Colin is here. I only see Colin Kim. Okay. So after Eugene, then we're going to hear from Hezu. I think Hezu's here, right? Hezu here? Hezu?
Hi.
Okay, great. We're here. Okay, if the judges are ready, I think we can get started with Eugene's speech. So Eugene, whenever you're ready, we'll start the clock.
Studying for that stressful test at midnight worth 40% of your grade. Sound familiar? We have all been there, and the stress is no different. And sometimes the world expects us to be perfect, but we are human beings that not only need to care for our physical health, but our mental health as well. Hello, my name is Eugene Park, and I'll be talking about mental health. As a new normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic continues to change our lives in unexpected ways, from all of this, the key now is to acknowledge and recognize the importance of mental health, recognize the sign of worsening figures, and adapt to our new environments. Before doing anything, admitting something is wrong or right, significant or not, is the first step to recognizing the importance of it. Sometimes we think that we don't have time because the world will not just stop for us, but we aren't able to recognize how good something is until we lose it. For students, their performance and social beings through online schools are severely impacted compared to the past in-school years. A survey was done in May of 2020 by Edtopia. It was shown that 7 out of 10 students suffered impacts on their grade and performances due to their deteriorating mental health. Even I found myself less motivated and a lot more down during these continuous times. However, admitting these does not show a sign of weakness. Rather, it shows courage and the willingness to fix something gone wrong. After admitting to the importance of mental health, it's then important to recognize the sign of it worsening or deteriorating. It would be ironic if you value mental health yet do not recognize the sign of it worsening. Signs can range from excessive worrying to inability to do work or activities. In a New York Times article by Emma Goldberg, she interviewed a child where she stated that her first sign was being sad from the sudden separation of friends and family. Ask yourself these questions to get a basis of your mental health. Is my current emotion in control, or have I lost contact with them? How do I react to different aspects of my life, in the morning or at night? Did I force myself to the point where I severely scarred myself? Answer to these questions may be able to help you assess your current mental state. Although there is no immediate cure for mental illnesses, recovery is more than possible. At-home treatments include yoga, fitness, listening to music, and doing hobbies you enjoy. From the NCBI, exercise has been proven to help self-esteem, social well-being, reduce anxiety and depression, and more. To the Mental Health Foundation, hobbies or doing something you love have been shown to increase self-esteem while reducing stress-induced worries. It also helps you forget your worries so you have time dedicated to relaxing. Professional help is always an option as well. Psychologists, counselors, clinicians, and therapists are all examples of professional help that will provide you with the support and steps to an eventual recovery. Sometimes we might feel like we don't have time for recovery, but I want to reassure you that recovery can range anywhere from 5 minutes to an entire day. We have all suffered due to the COVID-19 pandemic in one way or another, but perhaps we can learn the importance of mental health through it. In the end, we are all humans with emotions, not perfect beings. Know that it's okay to take a day or two just to recover, and know that it's okay to not be fine. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Eugene. I think that you did a really great job prompting your audience to ask themselves these questions, because it's by asking those questions that we recognize and take care of our mental health, right? So thank you again. And last but not least, we have Hesu Dawkins. So as the judges finish up their scorecards, Hesu, if you could just prepare. Let me also check in on some of the students.
Actually, I don't have a speech. I just like attended.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Is it really okay? Yeah, sorry for the confusion.
Oh, that's quite all right. I don't know if you sent me an email or not, but okay, no worries. I think that, okay, with that then, let me just see if Eddie is back. Eddie, are you here? Sorry to keep pointing them out. I feel bad. Okay. With that said, then I think this is a good time for us to conclude our session today. The judges are going to stick around for final deliberations. But before you go, I just want to thank every single one of you for coming in to present your speeches to a Zoom room full of like 60 people. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of guts. And I think the judges and I were really impressed with what you all had to say and your preparedness.
Every one of you.
Does any of the other judges want to just give a goodbye message to our students before we meet them again next week or 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, sure. I thought I didn't know really what to expect because I haven't done many of judging speaking competitions, but I think every one of you spoke about something that was important to you, got your message across, and I think in a lot of ways I learned a lot today, just in terms of just sheer information, and then also in terms of some of the more, I guess, policy issues that you'll see in the news. I thought that in some ways, frankly, it was more honest and less talking pointy kind of than what I would see on TV tonight. So in that regard, I'm very impressed. And keep it up.
Agreed. Any of the other judges want to chime in?
Yeah, I agree with Erwin. I just want to say, guys, we love, I think, all of the judges really love the content, the organization, and, it's challenging actually to do this, in Zoom. I think that it's easier, surprisingly, to do it in person. So, I just think that you guys are all amazing. You guys are so smart, and it was just such a great, it was such a great honor listening to all of you tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, I just echo everyone. The topics were very interesting, unique, impressed, well spoken, well prepared. Good luck to everybody, okay?
And I'll tell you, when I was in high school, I was never a good speaker like you guys. And congratulations, every participant, and those who haven't, please, everyone participate next week. And yes, I am like every other judge. I was so impressed with everybody. Thank you so much.
What about from Eugene, Sabrina, or Hannah, or Colin?
I think it's very clear the effort that everyone put into it. I mean, again, just reflecting on the experience, I was in your seat a couple of months ago, so I think that's pretty inspirational to see too, that you guys are following suit, learning a lot from the program, giving great speeches, communicating well. I mean, I think really it's a great program to learn a lot from, And I think if you put in what you want to get out, you'll get as much out as you can from the program. Again, it's a great opportunity to have these chances to do different things that you normally wouldn't do at school, especially now that it's a virtual platform too. It's pretty hard to get out there. So, use all the opportunities and chances that you have, and I think you'll do well.
I guess I'll go next. I know it must have been very challenging for all of you because there were many barriers because of COVID-19. The conventional speech competition you will be doing, it will be when we're all gathered together and you're speaking in front of us, but there should have been a lot of technical difficulties and so many things that you have to prepare additionally for you guys to participate. But it was really great. It was amazing to hear each one of you, and there were so many topics that didn't overlap at all, and there's so many people speaking today, but I'm so surprised. There are so many things I got to hear about, and there were a lot of things I didn't even know about. I didn't know what cancel culture was. There's so many things that I got to learn from you, even though I'm a little bit older than you, but it reminds me that you're never gonna stop learning, and I'm really appreciative of everything that I've heard today. So very congratulations, and everyone was so amazing.
Yeah, like everyone's been saying, it's been such a wonderful experience. It was very educational for me and I think all the other judges. And it was nice hearing you guys speak passionately about topics that are important to you. I think this is just like a great example of like the many things that you will accomplish in the future. So great job to everyone today. Yeah, you guys did a great job.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just close it out by just reiterating what everyone else has said so far. Yeah, you guys all did great. You guys gave me so much to think about for my own personal life. Like I'm just gonna go to bed just ruminating on all of these different topics. Like, should I switch to solar panel? Like, how's my mental health doing? Like all of that. So yeah, I just really appreciated that I could be here with you guys and spend this time with you. And yeah, you guys are amazing. So yeah, thank you.
So with that said, thank you to every single one of you who participated today. We're really looking forward to hearing the rest of you give your presentations 2 weeks from now for week 2 of the speech competition. Yeah, I won't hold you up any longer. Thank you again for your honesty and your sincerity, and take care. And if you could maybe type thank you to all of our judges for being here. There we go. All right. All right, I shan't keep you any longer. Be well. I'll send some more emails about the part 2 of our speech competition, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you have any questions, you can stick around. If not, you can shoot me an email. So, bye.
All right, bye. Thank you.